7:15. Welcome, Martin, to your meeting tonight.
I feel a little lonely tonight.
Yeah, a little lonely. And I'd just like to open the floor for any public comment. If you have anything left to say. I don't think the sculptures are talking to us tonight.
They're always talking. That one looks very crucifixus there. That one.
Right. So, why don't we just review the agenda for a moment? Does everybody have a copy of the agenda for today? Yep. Okay. So we'll go over minutes and maybe some reports from the committees that have been meeting. And some discussion on issues related to topics that have come up on those programs, those committee meetings over the course of the last month or so. And there'll be some discussion around the strategic planning session that took place on January 22nd. Anybody have comments on that? Okay, sounds good. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the January 22nd.
So moved.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Wait, discussion. I just want to say from communications received that there was a lot of care and dissection from people who were there, read the meetings, and made lots of minute corrections and additions. So I was impressed how much input went into these minutes. So now feel free to vote. Okay.
Were there other comments on the minutes? Amy had a minor grammatical correction to make for me, so we put those in the minutes, but that's it. Okay. So all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. So next item on the agenda here is committee reports and discussion. I'm sorry. Anybody want to provide just a brief summary of the strategic planning retreat we had, just to review that for a moment?
Well, I just want to thank the board members. It was an enormous amount of time. It was a very full day. For me, particularly as the executive director, under some duress in terms of just managing to stay on top of everything, to have a meeting which really focused on what are the strategic imperatives for the school going forward, and together to prioritize those so that I hope that's it.
That's a vacuum cleaner?
What could be working? Well, I guess it's not a structural
That's too long a sound to be structural. You mean snow on roof type of
half the windows closed, aren't you see that?
Because of snow.
Structural. So anyway, I think to have the opportunity to really spend some time first clarifying what are the various demands, not just of me personally, but on the school, and then to think thoughtfully together on how should they be prioritized strategically for the school, to have agreement on those, so there's clarity in terms of how we're going to use our time, and the willingness of the board to step forward and in not just thought but deed is really great. So I'm very appreciative. It was a great meeting, extremely well facilitated. No, that's not easy to do, so my compliments go to the facilitator, Joe Spick there, because I thought she was great.
So everybody received a copy of the summary of the goals from that. I know Jay was at the meeting actually at the time, so it's important that everybody's up to date. fully aware of those goals. Did establish, after the course of a day's discussion, established a number of key goals. That one of the primary ones being that we have a quality program, academic and educational program at the school, and then certainly a major goal to meet our enrollment goal of 150 new applicants by March 19th. And I think there's a secondary goal to those two, that to make the school available to the community to have more use of this building. So we're moving ahead on those. And we certainly did a lot of work around identifying what some of the work steps would be to make those things happen in the next 6 months.
Can I just ask, that was 2 weeks ago in 2 days. How many enrollments are we up to at the moment? If you got all the people that had dropped out before, and the people like Peter Van Ness and Transom is, what are we?
Well, you couldn't indicate it at all in that moment because the names had just come in for the lottery.
But they haven't enrolled to go into the lottery?
Some have, some haven't. And I can tell you what the actual count is, but I'm happy to get it for you.
There's nobody tonight enrolled, for example.
No, we see people want to have their names put into the lottery, so you have 4 more who have indicated that they want to be included in the lottery. But until the actual lottery takes place, we don't know whether there'll be more seats than
Well, wait, I mean, if somebody says, I want my name in a lottery, that doesn't help us set our seating, does it?
No, not until the actual lottery takes place. So then they become officially enrolled in the school.
I see, okay, so if they do go in the lottery, that will count as one of those numbers that we need.
Yeah, if they go in the lottery, their name gets picked, and then they indicate that they intend to come,
Right.
then they're counted as enrolled.
So this point, it would be more of a number of applicants.
That's correct. So,
Right.
but probably a number eventually, if you're looking at the list of how many apply to the lottery, you'll get a ballpark. And if you say we're up to 40 already, that's going to be different than if we're up to 18.
Yeah.
So I'd like to move into the next item on the agenda here about the reports from various committees that we're meeting. In the course of the last month, we've established some of the major committees that will support the development of the school. One of them being the program committee, others being finance and communications outreach. So if we could just have a report from those committees about the work that's happened so far and what's projected. Helpful. Art, do you want to start with the program?
Sure. One of our primary concerns, program committee, was to make sure that some steps have been taken to address the corrective action plan in terms of special education requirements by the state. And we had a very good meeting about that this evening. We've identified several needs for helping the school in the staff development area. Some continuity in terms of discipline is another area, and certainly offering some counseling. And what we've decided as a program committee is each of us is going to volunteer some time with staff to assist Tony, working with students, and Carol Hurley to begin to shape the culture of the school as a community arts school with arts integration and art as the center of the program, knowing full well that that can be more easily taken advantage of if the consistency and congruency exists in the program. And as Tony has heard this many times, it is impossible for one person to do everything in the school. So what we're venturing to do, and we're suggesting tonight for this meeting, is that we're going to be individually talking to you, Tony, about time slots that are suitable for us to come into school, whether it be an hour at a time, 2 hours at a time, or 2 or 3 hours over the course of a week to help out with certain program areas that you are currently preoccupied with in an effort to have you be able to focus on other things that are more administrative rather than minutiae dealing with hotspots during the day and or other, what I call administrivia. Do other program, either one of you as other program committee members have thoughts about what we've done thus far, what we've been thinking about, something we might have looked at?
Well, I thought we discussed and talked about the special education area and how the school is going to step-by-step work on not just the implementation of what we're directed to do by the state, but also continue to develop programs that we really are proud of, that really actually meets the real needs of the children, as well as the paper needs of the system, which sometimes mesh. And we were hoping to help Tony and Carol figure out what the mesh might look like.
One more comment is that we have discovered that the program committee and the finance committee are inextricably interwoven. Use a sociology 101 term.
Right.
So we're cognizant of, and don't want to make an error of talking lofty things and program ideas that are going to cost the budget a great deal of money. So we have to be realistic as we offer ideas about what is the incurred cost of that. We've got to know some specific information prior to implementation, so we don't put the budget keeper in harm's way.
Yeah, I think we ought to note for the record that Tony has submitted the corrective action plan for the special ed requirement to the state, the Department of Education, and is waiting for a response and comments on that. And so it is subject to some revision. So we're awaiting that, and did have some discussion also about the issue you just raised, Art, about how to financially make the services as possible, as we must, but also to make sure that they're serving kids as best as possible. Those. I think moving ahead, also the program committee will be focusing particularly on the strategic priorities that were identified at the retreat. So our next meeting probably generally will be around looking at the steps that we'll take to make that happen. Setting up a portfolio assessment system and some of the other sub-goals to making a quality education program here. So that's program committee. Finance committee. I'll speak to that. Tony, you want to speak on that?
I had a comment on that before you left the program committee.
Oh,
just
sure.
trying to think. It should also be noted that while I have submitted the corrective action plan to the DOE now will review it and get back, so changes may be required by the DOE, and if so, then I'll be reporting that back to the program committee if you're on board.
I'll actually do the finance piece on that. Finance committee met just prior to the retreat, and it became plain in that meeting that we have a tight budget. Not news to us, but the details of that were quite apparent. So there was a proposal from the finance committee at that meeting to
empty your wallets on the table.
no, to to put a break on any additional spending for the moment. Just because the financial realities are such that we cannot afford to take on new hires and new programming until we take further steps in making financial resources available. There was some discussion about possible options to make other funds available. So there's some further work to be done on that, and I think there'll be some further information about that forthcoming pretty soon. Do you want to add anything, Tony?
Just that the key component of it is that there would not be any changes that would require new expenditures beyond budget, and so any adjustments that would have to be made, which is just common sense, obviously, but there are no additional streams of income, so that any adjustments would have to mean a reconsideration of how expenditures were mapped out in the budget itself in order to stay within the existing budget as defined. And so that's the work basically the Finance Committee at the moment, is to work with me and the school in terms of looking at are there ways to restructure that to better meet the immediate needs of the students.
Has there been discussion at all about any, further fundraising, either, currently now any routes to that, whether using parents or, I know I saw the Fox Talk has started, so that's a good thing, and that's great use of parent resources. They're huge for all different kinds of things and ideas, but I don't know, has that been started, or, there's a lot, it's a big chunk, and a lot of times we start with the overview and then we can look at things, but I just didn't know.
There wasn't major discussion on that at the moment, although it's definitely one of many priorities there are a couple of people who are working on grants and beginning to spend some time identifying and then writing those, but there are many different ways to fundraise, and it's one of the things that needs to happen for going forward. But at the moment, the key piece of it is that we have a very clear, finite budget, and that we have needs that now the school's up and running, and we are more familiar with our student body and their requirements, that we may have to reconsider how those are allocated, and that's the work. And that in the
Yeah, definitely. That certainly has impact on all the other work of the other committees and the other aspects of the school as well. Other questions or comments? Okay. And communications and outreach.
I'll summarize some of what James. I think one of the key words we came up with was how much, the whole media mix was so important to this effort. And Tony, everybody was here but you in the room, and so many of the things came down to who will execute. But Karen was saying that she would begin the investigation, and James obviously is very interested in the Facebook connection of using the groups and the fan status and tying to our website, but also using outreach to try to go in the social media. At the same time, we began the direct mail, first in first class. Obviously, the verdict is still out on whether we're doing the 3,500 pending postage and the effectiveness of the first class batch, the 600. There was a question asked, was there an additional 200 printed and 200 stamps given?
From the first 200?
Or did we just start with 400 and 400? Because I have an email that said there's another 200 coming from Staples and postage for 200. But did that just complete the 600, or was that in addition to it?
No, I think that completed.
Fine, okay. So 600, that's still a powerful lot. But, the postering campaign is another way to reach them. the emailing the PDF around. I still haven't gotten a PDF of the pictures. Maybe there's a PDF of the final poster, because just one image would be so nice. So if you have that on PDF, I have a list of 800. I'm happy to send it. But I haven't gotten any picture. So far, all I have is just the words. So, just words in the what? I don't have one picture. So if you do, send it to me. Sorry.
Okay.
But to me, the most important thing that we can still do to tie all of this together is the newspaper. And we agreed a two-front war. One is one hopefully going through you, through Ray, covering the story. Come and be at the next open house. Hopefully we should have had him at this one. Get photos so we can promote a bigger next one. Not just goings on calendar, but a story. Because that's a story they should be interested in, the promotion of round two. But we thought that you could identify, I just say in parenthesis, one of the things we learned at the seminar is find out what you do the best and promote it. And what is it that's in every article that just turns people around? It's when you talk to the kids and the parents. So we should have a kid or a parent or both write a my view. Ray will take it as a my view. He will take it and he'll put it in hopefully before the next, but it should be something where you know what parent. It can't always be Ruthie, but it might be Ruthie. But it might be the kid we start with. You say, this kid is the most articulate kid we have. Because just parenthetically say, the commissioner was won over by the enthusiasm of the kids. Ray was won over. The other parents are won over. We've all been seduced by the kids. That's why we think we have a great school. We ask the kids. So that's what we got to push, because that is what's going to get more kids in here. So that's up to you, because I can try to pick out a kid, but hey kids, who can write? No, you know who it is. Whether it's Michael Jackson guy, somebody who writes like he dances. You know? And if it's a kid and a mom, so that they jointly write it, that could be cool too. And that's different than me writing it, or you writing it, or even Richard Gaines.
Or it could be a collaborative effort.
Yeah.
But we thought maybe you'd recommend.
Because that's our strongest suit. Kids, what do you think? Is when we say to people, we don't want to be the filter, you talk to the kids direct, let the chips fall where they may. So that's all I'm saying. So if we can do all of these spokes on the wheel, then it's going to be an effort. And I am strongly want to go on record that not doing the newspaper is not wise. And obviously, Joe was just waiting for the right time. Over there. Unless we got more kids than we could use. If we do, that's why I asked you about the count. If we were up to 60, then I'd say we don't need the newspaper, but it's not the case. Because people have to see it 2 or 3 times to take action. A poster, an email, a mailing, a direct mail, a Facebook, or a newspaper. Hopefully 2 out of the 6.
Yeah, I think, Tony, the other thinking on that was that there'd be not only a parent and a student who might write an article, but perhaps it'd be a group of parents that would be a regular contact, or perhaps if they're interested in talking to parents.
Good point. So Francis is, or Weinstein is writing the article. Yeah, here's 5 people he could interview without us filtering it. And they can say whatever they want.
Well, we just, on that note, I think we had the first meeting of the Parents Association on Monday of the officers, and there are 9 officers on the Parents Association. And it's actually a great group, full of energy, great ideas. I mean, just as sort of an existing structural group within the school, I think they're wonderful.
And one of them that I talked to, maybe it was Tuesday or Wednesday. It may have been Tuesday. Sorry, downtown. She was incredibly excited about the backup nature of 2 vice presidents, 3 because if somebody's sick or somebody moves away or has to leave for a while, then nobody feels alone. And it's a very smart strategy to have that built into having 2 people be co-presidents.
Yeah, I thought that was really smart.
So Tony, perhaps you could recommend somebody to be with a parent media liaison as well. Probably somebody from that parent group, that possibly it's the 2 vice presidents, but just somebody that on an ongoing basis, that's just, it's not a board member, it's not somebody in an executive position, but has a voice from the community to do that. I think that would be a good thing to handle all of that. And then they could from there put it on the people that those things can do that. I think the other things we talked our enrollment, Facebook page, something in the newspaper, hopefully having a reporter here maybe Saturday, next Saturday to cover it, and,
Good morning, Gloucester.
Good Morning Gloucester, blogs, stuff like that, to get it out there in numerous ways. And then that was one of our goals, which is, the other one was engagement, and we just sort of started looking at that as far as the school space and kind of what we have to look at in the future as far as, liability insurance coverage, are we going to be able to charge rent or cover expenses, policies for use, and what groups we might want to do. So we just started touching on that. But those are the two goals of this, of our meeting today. So I'll show you that.
Other questions or?
No, but I want to have one more comment, because the first time I met the kids today. I've met them all before in the hall, but I performed for them. And you can really get a feel for a group when you perform. Because a lot of times they're yawning, they're looking away, they're like, you're losing this group, you got that. Oh my God, they were so polite, they were so smart, they were glued. I had a couple of yawns near the end, so I sped it up because I took my time. Oh my God, are they smart? These guys are so discerning. And you can tell. I mean, seriously, when you're performing, you've got the radar out to see who's on first and who's on second. And am I going over? Are they getting it? Are they stupid? Are they smart? Or what are they? Oh my God, what a group.
We have no stupid kids here.
No, we don't. And I'm telling you right now, I was looking for them. I was looking to see, confirm my prejudices in either direction. Oh my God, what a great, active, smart, got everything I was saying. So, hurrah. That's a comment on everything and nothing.
So are there other questions or comments on this? All right. We really run through our agenda here. A lot of the main work of our organization, our board at this point, is happening more at the subcommittee level. So we expect more of action steps coming out of that in the next bunch of months now that those committees are established. We probably should discuss for a minute the agenda for the next meeting. Any ideas on that? I'd like to add to the standing format for our agenda a regular check-in on any due dates and commitments that we have in terms of requirements from the state or otherwise. So I think we have to make sure that's in there. But other suggestions on topics other than the usual?
Topic that
I think too, along those same lines, Dave, we ought to, if any committee has made a commitment to action, that our next board meeting, there ought to be room for follow-up on that action, and if it worked, what are the results, and if it didn't work, why, to monitor from a systems approach how we are working as a community to get tasks done. So we just don't get lost in setting up tasks and not getting them done, but we set up using the SMART idea that we learned on the 22nd, measurable and realistic goals so that we can have a degree of satisfaction and fuse this culture.
Right. Yeah, I think it would be a recommendation for all the committees to not only be aware of the goals we've established, but certainly laying out some steps that need to be taken in the next bunch of months to make sure that there's clear action and some deadlines and individuals responsible for the pieces of that, so we really make sure we're making some progress. And I think that goes along with what you said about the SMART goals being measurable.
We roughly have 90 some odd school days. I think usually second or third week in February, schools across the Commonwealth say have a 100-day celebration with pennies or buttons. But what that means is it really is 16 weeks left when there's 80 days left of school. That's 16 business weeks, and given concerns about enrollment and or budget and other deadlines, the annual reports, et cetera, we have to make sure that we're on top of and not playing catch up with those kinds of things. So it supports what you said about having an agenda item of what's coming.
Do you want items, I mean, we shouldn't throw an item like something that should be in committee for, like, for example, dare I use the word summer school? Is that the kind of thing that first should go through committee before it's ever brought up here?
Yeah, I think that's the topic.
Because I had some questions about it, but I realized.
Committee and the finance
Yes,
committee discuss first. And part of the reason we put the subcommittee structure in place is to work out those issues and details of those things before we actually have a full board meeting. And hopefully bring to bear the expertise of the people on those committees to focus their expertise and experience on those areas that need that kind of contentious kind of. Other agenda items for next meeting?
Probably, I mean, there's, the school's been working on redesign of the website, and probably that's something which I don't think probably did come up in the communications committee meeting, but it's probably something that should have input from the communications committee. And in terms of what we just discussed, where we're doing this whole redesign, part of it is to have templates that are built into the website, so you're not dependent upon the web manager to remember to put in updates. So it's something that chairs the committees, executive director, teachers, in terms
Snow
of
day.
sites.
Snow date, remember you said let's put it in so you don't have to relist when we have to.
Right, same, yeah, that's right, in terms of meetings and what the snow days are and that kind of thing. It's much easier to stay on top, for example, about meeting law requirements. If we can do it ourselves, we're not sort of almost playing the old game of telephone or something where, you know, you're emailing to a web manager down in Connecticut who's, you know, then you're depending on him being available and then making a change and then letting you know he's made a change. And it's just fraught with potential for mistakes. And that's what I was thinking in terms of the development of a board calendar and a comprehensive school calendar in terms of things that are going on. That one of the difficulties we have at the moment, particularly as we move to a committee structure where significant work takes place and then is reported back to the board, is how you stay on top of all that information if you're not on all of those committees. Do you go through and actually read through the minutes of each committee to find out, or should there be some tool, whether it's a calendar of work or major projects and or some executive summary that is at the beginning of each of the minutes of each committee that would allow both the public and members of the board to actually get that. They could go into the full detail of the minutes should they choose, but that you would have some tool in this website that would allow for it easier for all of us to track the work that's happening by multiple committees. And that if we are going to do that, we could have some discussion at the next board meeting of what would the board members find helpful, having experienced the lack of it. What would it look like ideally? Because now is our time to indicate to the company that's refreshing our website, you know, we really, from a board perspective, we really like to be able to do these things. And not just sort of the usual calendar meetings for the year and posting of minutes and open meeting notices, but what else might we like to have in here? What access do you not have at the moment to information within the school that could be readily available on the website that would allow you as members of the board and trustees of the mission of the school to know what's going on? Should we just ask that of parents as well? We can start thinking about what do they need that they don't have. So, that looks like
Okay. Are there other issues, Tony, that you see coming up that we ought to be checking in on? I think we'll be following the developments on the corrective action plan around special education, of course.
Yeah, I think so for the full board, there's the corrective action plan, which program committee obviously we track closely and reporting back to the board on. There's, for all charter schools, there's the accountability plan, which is, it's similar actually to the model used by the New England Association of Schools and Colleges that credits all private universities and independent schools. And that's the model that the charter, the Department of Education is moving towards with charters. And so every charter school has to write an accountability plan that specifies what it does, how it does it, and it includes review of MCAS results as part of that. But that's something that the board should be involved in.
And that's due March 1st.
March 1st.
When is the date of our next board meeting? I know it's the first Wednesday. Is that before the last open house?
It's March 2nd.
It's before the last.
Right, so we'll have a chance to see where we are at.
Other additions for the agenda? Next meeting? Okay. So our next meeting is Wednesday, March 2nd, right? Mother Nature willing, of course.
Yeah. Lots of joke.
So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
Discussion?
it's a great adjournment.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's